For nearly a decade, Muhammad Ali rested undisturbed in the serene grounds of Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky. His burial site, handpicked by the boxing legend himself, was meant to be a place of eternal peace, a final sanctuary for a man who had spent a life in the spotlight.
Ali, 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 Ali.
But 9 years later, an unsettling mystery began to unfold, one that forced scientists and cemetery officials to make a difficult decision: open Muhammad Ali's tomb. What they found inside defied science and left experts speechless. The discovery would send shockwaves across the world, igniting a global mystery that no one could explain. The greatest rests until now.
I wouldn't want to do too much bragging about it, but everybody that watches me fight or everybody that has witnessed one of my bouts, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Muhammad Ali was more than just a boxer. He was a revolutionary figure who shook the world both inside and outside the ring. His charisma, wit, and unshakable confidence made him one of the most recognizable and influential athletes in history. He wasn't merely a champion in the ring. He was a champion for justice, a voice for the oppressed, and a man who stood by his principles, no matter the cost.
I am the king of the world.
Hold it, hold it, hold it.
I'm pretty.
Hold it, you're not that pretty.
I'm a bad man.
Wait.
I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
From the moment he declared himself the greatest, the world believed him, not just because of his skill, but for the unwavering conviction that defined his every move.
The world says goodbye to Muhammad Ali.
I am the greatest.
The passing of an American icon, Muhammad Ali, the larger-than-life boxing legend, has died at the age of 74.
The end of an era, the end of a singular figure in this world.
Ali, 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 Ali.
One of the most famous and beloved athletes of all time has passed away. Boxing legend Muhammad Ali lost his battle with Parkinson's late on Friday in Arizona.
When Ali passed away on June 3, 2016, the world mourned the loss of a legend. His funeral was attended by thousands, while millions more watched around the world. Heads of state, celebrities, and fans from every corner of the globe came together to celebrate the life of a man who had changed history. But even in death, Ali made sure that his final resting place would reflect his values: humility, faith, and an unbreakable connection to his hometown. He had personally chosen his burial site at Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky, a place of historical significance known for its serene beauty. Ali's decision was not just about location, it was about meaning. He wanted to rest in the same soil where he had first laced up his gloves, in the city that had shaped him into the legend he became. The simplicity of his burial was striking. Unlike other global icons who were laid to rest in elaborate mausoleums, Ali's grave bore only a single inscription: Ali. It was powerful in its minimalism, a testament to his legacy that needed no embellishment. His grave became a sacred place of pilgrimage, drawing visitors from around the world who sought to pay their respects. Fans knelt beside the modest headstone, some leaving flowers, others whispering prayers or sharing their personal stories of how Ali had inspired them. For nearly a decade, Ali's final resting place was a place of peace, until, 9 years later, an unexpected development forced officials to make a difficult decision. At first, it was nothing more than minor structural concerns, a routine checkup, officials believed. But soon, cracks in the surrounding area deepened. Subtle shifts in the earth raised new concerns, and scientists noticed anomalies they couldn't explain. What had initially seemed like environmental wear began to look like something else entirely. The cemetery, once a place of stillness, had become the center of a growing mystery. The official reason was preservation. The real question was far stranger. What was happening inside the tomb? With no other option, cemetery officials and experts made a stunning decision. Muhammad Ali's tomb had to be opened. For nearly a decade, Muhammad Ali had rested undisturbed. But when they finally unsealed it, what they found inside left scientists stunned. A mystery begins to unfold. Muhammad Ali's grave had been a place of quiet reflection for years, where visitors from all over the world came to pay their respects, leaving flowers, notes, and small tokens of admiration. It started with something small, something that could have easily gone unnoticed. Groundskeepers observed minor shifts in the soil, an unusual settling pattern that was inconsistent with the rest of the cemetery. At first, they assumed it was a natural occurrence, perhaps the result of seasonal weather changes or simple erosion. But as time passed, the changes became more pronounced. Cracks began forming along the pathways near Ali's grave, fine fractures that crept outward in a pattern too specific to be random. The cemetery staff took note, and as their worries grew, they called in structural engineers to look into what was going on. At first, what they found was strange. The ground wasn't shifting in a way that would normally happen, and it wasn't connected to normal environmental factors like water erosion or tree roots spreading. The cracks seemed to come from a single source, Ali's tomb. Other graves in the area stayed the same, with their foundations solid, but Ali's tomb seemed to be in the middle of something strange. As the months passed, the issue worsened. More fractures appeared, not just in the ground, but also along the marble slab that covered Ali's grave. The once solid structure now showed visible signs of stress. Engineers used ground-penetrating radar to scan beneath the surface, hoping to find an obvious cause, but what they found only deepened the mystery. There was movement beneath the tomb, an anomaly that couldn't be explained by natural geological shifts. Whatever was happening, it was concentrated entirely within Ali's burial site. At this point, the scientific community took notice. Experts in soil mechanics and forensic geology were brought in to examine the area in the hopes of preserving it with minimal disturbance. They ruled out seismic activity, ruling out the possibility of an underground tremor. There had been no reports of flooding, no indications of burrowing animals or invasive plant roots that could be responsible. It seemed like the tomb's ground was reacting to something, but no one knew why. The longer the issue persisted, the greater the risk became. If left unchecked, the structural integrity of the grave could be compromised. This was no longer just a matter of curiosity, it was a matter of preservation. The authorities at Cave Hill Cemetery had always taken pride in maintaining the dignity of those buried there, and allowing Ali's tomb to deteriorate was simply not an option. After exhausting all possible explanations, the discussion turned toward a decision no one had anticipated. If the cause could not be identified from the outside, then there was only one option left. Muhammad Ali's tomb would have to be opened. What lay beneath the surface? What was causing these inexplicable changes? Scientists were about to find out, and what they discovered left them stunned. The decision to open the tomb. The idea of opening Muhammad Ali's tomb was not something anyone took lightly. The man known as the greatest had been laid to rest with the utmost respect, per his faith and wishes. Disturbing his final resting place seemed almost unimaginable. Yet the growing mystery surrounding the structural anomalies at his grave left experts with no other choice. The cracks, the shifting ground, the unexplained movement beneath the surface. Each new piece of evidence pointed to a problem that could no longer be ignored. Cemetery officials, forensic specialists, and structural engineers gathered to discuss the situation. Every possible alternative was considered. Could reinforcement be added without disturbing the grave? Could deeper scans provide better insight? But no matter how many theories were proposed, they all circled back to the same unsettling reality. Without opening the tomb, they would be working blindly, risking further damage to Ali's burial site. Ali's family was immediately contacted. The request to exhume his remains was met with understandable hesitation. To them, their beloved father, husband, and hero had been laid to rest with dignity. The thought of reopening his grave, even for scientific purposes, was deeply unsettling. They wanted reassurances. They wanted to know that this was absolutely necessary. Most of all, they wanted to be certain that their father's memory and legacy would not be exploited or disrespected in any way. The team of experts provided them with all available data, showing the gradual but undeniable structural decline of the tomb. If the damage continued unchecked, the risk of collapse could threaten the integrity of the grave itself. What was happening here was highly unusual. Graves did not simply shift like this without a clear explanation. The situation was not just a matter of curiosity, but of preservation. If they waited too long, the damage might become irreversible. After several difficult conversations, Ali's family reluctantly gave their consent, but they had conditions. The exhumation had to be handled with the highest level of care and discretion. No media presence, no unnecessary public attention. This was not to be turned into a spectacle. Only the necessary personnel would be allowed on site, and everything had to be done according to strict legal and ethical guidelines. The family wanted assurance that the moment Muhammad Ali was placed back into his grave, he would remain undisturbed for eternity. With the decision made, preparations began. A date was chosen, equipment was brought in, and the team of specialists carefully planned every step of the process. Nobody knew what to expect once the tomb was opened. Theories circulated, ranging from structural failures to unusual environmental factors. But as the final hours before the exhumation approached, one question loomed over everyone involved. What would they find inside Muhammad Ali's tomb? The chilling moment. The tomb is opened. The morning of the exhumation was eerily silent. Cave Hill Cemetary, normally a peaceful sanctuary of quiet reflection, felt different. The air was thick with anticipation as the team of experts, structural engineers, forensic specialists, and cemetery officials gathered around Muhammad Ali's grave. Every movement was precise, and every instruction was carefully followed. This was not an ordinary exhumation. This was the opening of the tomb of one of the most celebrated athletes in modern history. The weight of the moment was not lost on anyone present. The outer slab covering Ali's tomb had remained undisturbed for 9 years, its heavy marble surface protecting the champion's final resting place. As the team began the delicate process of removing it, there was an unspoken understanding that whatever lay beneath had to be treated with the utmost respect. The equipment used was designed to minimize disruption, but even with the greatest precision, the first lift of the slab sent a faint shudder through the surrounding ground. A hush fell over the gathered team as dust and small fragments of stone loosened and drifted into the air. Then, something unexpected happened. As the final layer was carefully removed, a distinct draft of cool air escaped from the tomb. A few of the scientists exchanged puzzled glances. Burial chambers are typically sealed tightly, designed to remain undisturbed by the outside environment. The presence of airflow suggested something unusual, an opening, a shift, or a gap within the structure that should not have been there. It wasn't necessarily ominous, but it was certainly not normal. As forensic specialists moved in to document the chamber, they immediately noticed another irregularity. The burial vault inside, which should have remained securely in place, had shifted slightly. It was a small movement, but in a structure that was supposed to remain immovable. Even the slightest displacement was significant. The coffin was tilted at a subtle but noticeable angle, as if something had caused it to move over time. There had been no reports of seismic activity in the area, no evidence of underground water shifts strong enough to alter the foundation of the tomb. The displacement was confined solely to Ali's resting place. Later, one of the forensic analysts would reveal that his first thought upon seeing the tomb was, "This is disturbing." He knew the words carried an eerie weight, so he kept quiet, allowing his colleagues to do their job. But he could see that everyone felt as uneasy as he did. The team had expected to find cracks, soil shifts, perhaps signs of natural decay within the tomb. But the unexpected airflow, the shifting vault, and the unsettling feeling creeping over the group suggested that they were dealing with something far less predictable. The next step was inevitable. With gloved hands and controlled movements, the team prepared to lift the lid of Muhammad Ali's casket. The moment that followed would be one of the most shocking discoveries of their careers. The unbelievable discovery. As the lid of Muhammad Ali's casket was carefully lifted, the gathered team held their breath. The weight of the moment pressed down on them as high-powered lights illuminated the interior of the burial vault. What they saw inside left them frozen in place. Ali's body, despite having been buried for 9 years, was far more intact than anyone had expected. While some natural decomposition had occurred, the degree of preservation was striking. His facial structure remained clearly distinguishable, his features recognizable in a way that defied what forensic specialists anticipated. There was no sign of extensive decay, no complete skeletal breakdown, only an unusual state of preservation that left the experts exchanging uneasy glances. The lead forensic pathologist stepped forward, his expression shifting from curiosity to disbelief as he examined the remains. It wasn't just the preservation that unsettled him, it was the sheer absence of an obvious explanation for it. Ali had been embalmed before his burial, a common practice, but embalming alone could not account for this level of preservation after nearly a decade underground. The conditions inside the tomb did not suggest artificial climate control, nor were there signs of chemical interference beyond what would have been used at the time of burial. The limestone-rich soil of Cave Hill Cemetery had been known to aid in the slowing of decomposition, but not to this extent. There was something else at work here, something that neither forensic science nor environmental factors could immediately clarify. Adding to the mystery was the condition of the burial vault itself. Unlike most caskets that show clear signs of moisture damage over time, Ali's showed only minor indications of wear. The interior of the chamber was drier than expected, despite the cool draft of air that had been detected when the tomb was first opened. Scientists examined the surrounding walls, searching for any signs of external contamination, but found nothing that could immediately explain why Ali's remains had been so uniquely preserved. The caretakers of the cemetery, who prided themselves on meticulous maintenance, had not given Ali's grave any special treatment beyond the standard upkeep of the ground above him. Despite the unexpected findings, the team, being scientists, knew that whatever had occurred had to remain within the confines of reality. No paranormal explanations, no supernatural elements. Just a case so rare that even the most experienced forensic analysts struggled to understand it. What had started as a simple structural investigation had turned into something far more complex. The cracks in the ground had led them to a revelation that left everyone unsettled. The team had been prepared for many possibilities, but what they found inside Muhammad Ali's tomb challenged the very limits of what they thought they knew. A strange anomaly inside the tomb. As forensic specialists continued their examination, something caught their attention. A dark, hardened substance embedded within the burial shroud near Muhammad Ali's remains. It was unlike anything they had expected to find. At first glance, it appeared to be an organic mass, hardened over time. Yet its placement and texture were unusual. The team, already unsettled by the preservation of Ali's body, now faced another question. What was this anomaly, and why was it here? The forensic pathologists carefully extracted a small fragment for closer inspection. Under the harsh beam of an analysis light, the material revealed a rough, crystallized surface, darkened with time, yet eerily intact. There was no immediate explanation for what they were looking at. Suddenly, it dawned on them that whatever was happening with Ali's grave would take time to investigate. They would need soil samples, photographs, and detailed reports to carry on their research, while keeping their promise to Ali's family and closing the grave back up. Initial tests ruled out any form of mold or common mineral deposits that might naturally form in a burial environment. It was not the result of simple decay, nor did it match the expected remnants of embalming fluids interacting with the surrounding materials. As more samples were taken, the team found themselves facing an unexpected forensic puzzle. The presence of this unidentified substance, combined with the unusual preservation of Ali's body, suggested that something rare had occurred inside the tomb, something that scientists had yet to fully comprehend. For now, all they knew was that Ali's grave, once thought to be a simple, undisturbed resting place, had become the site of a mystery that would take far longer than a single day to solve. What they were looking at was a potential unidentified mineral in the soil, or a rare type of earth that had remarkable preservation properties. Whatever they were dealing with had shocked them, but it was time to get their logical minds back in gear and work on getting answers. Theories and speculations. As word of the unusual discoveries inside Muhammad Ali's tomb spread among the scientific community, theories began to emerge. Experts from various fields, including forensic pathology, geology, and mortuary science, attempted to piece together an explanation that made sense. Could the unusual preservation of Ali's body and the mysterious anomaly inside the tomb be the result of a rare natural process? Or was there an unknown factor at play? One of the earliest theories centered around the unique soil composition of Cave Hill Cemetery. The limestone-rich earth, combined with the relatively stable temperature and moisture conditions within the burial chamber, could have created an environment that significantly slowed decomposition. Similar cases had been documented in the past, where natural mummification occurred due to environmental factors, though they remained rare. However, this did not explain the peculiar substance found near Ali's remains. Another speculation involved the embalming process. While Ali's body had been treated following standard mortuary practices, some suggested that a particular combination of embalming chemicals may have reacted with the burial environment unexpectedly. This reaction, they theorized, could have contributed to both the slowed decomposition and the formation of the hardened material found in the tomb. Yet, when comparing the findings to other embalmed bodies buried under similar conditions, the anomalies remained difficult to justify. Others considered the possibility that the displacement of the burial vault had played a role. If subtle shifts in the ground had altered airflow within the tomb, the change could have impacted the way moisture and organic materials interacted over time. However, none of these theories fully accounted for all the findings, leaving scientists with more questions than answers. What had truly occurred inside Muhammad Ali's tomb over the past 9 years? The final verdict: what we know now. Experts concluded after weeks of analysis that a combination of environmental conditions, burial practices, and natural chemical interactions resulted in Muhammad Ali's remarkable preservation. The region's climate, along with the specific conditions at Cave Hill Cemetery, created an atmosphere that significantly slowed the decomposition process. Additionally, the use of a custom-designed casket, crafted with materials designed to preserve, aided in his exceptional preservation. Scientists noted the unique interplay of moisture levels, soil composition, and even the precise arrangement of his final resting place as crucial factors in maintaining his physical state. Experts also examined the impact of the burial practices themselves. Ali's family had followed a combination of modern and traditional techniques that emphasized the importance of protection from external elements, ensuring that his body was shielded from the effects of time. These methods, combined with the careful reinterment, were a testament to the respect and reverence afforded to the boxing legend. His body was carefully reinterred, with additional measures taken to reinforce the integrity of the tomb. Cave Hill Cemetery officials assured the public that Ali's resting place would be preserved with the utmost respect, ensuring that he would continue to rest in peace. The decision to reclose the tomb was made in a way that honored both Ali's legacy and his family's wishes, recognizing the need for privacy and dignity in his final resting place. The tomb was reinforced with additional protective measures to ensure that Ali's legacy remains intact for generations to come. The discovery, though surprising, served as a reminder of the enduring presence of Muhammad Ali. Even in death, his legacy remained unshaken, leaving scientists, historians, and fans alike in awe. The preservation of his body was symbolic of his larger-than-life persona, an athlete who defied limits, challenged norms, and captivated the world. Muhammad Ali's life was filled with moments that defied expectations. From his victories in the ring to his unwavering stand for justice, he was a man who could not be ignored. In death, he continues to captivate the world. The opening of his tomb was never intended to be a spectacle, yet what was found inside sparked a new level of appreciation for the legend he was. The conditions of his final resting place will now serve as an important case study, ensuring that his influence extends far beyond his lifetime. Muhammad Ali once said, "Don't count the days, make the days count." Even in his eternal rest, his story continues to do just that. Do you think scientists were right to open Muhammad Ali's tomb, or should it have remained undisturbed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.